All right, so today we're diving into gas production engineering.
Okay, sounds good.
We're really on a mission here to help you figure out
Yeah.
not just what the career is all about, but is it even the right path for you?
Right.
And then if so, how to totally own it.
I like it.
You brought a really interesting mix of materials.
Yeah.
Got the in-depth guide from RoleCatcher.
Yes.
Plus, we're also kind of getting glimpses into their job hunting platform.
Right.
So it's not just theory here. We're getting kind of tactical, too.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating to me how RoleCatcher, connects those essential skills
Yeah.
to the actual work they do.
Cool.
Like they say that gas production engineers develop methods to optimize gas extraction,
Right.
which, that sounds a lot more dynamic than just like somebody stuck behind a desk all day.
Right. It's way more than that.
Way more.
You're basically like a detective.
Yes.
Analyzing data.
Totally.
Spotting these subtle trends in production and then figuring out
Yeah.
how to make the whole process just hum.
It's problem solving at a massive scale.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And speaking of scale,
Yeah.
it's not all happening on a computer screen either.
No, it's not.
The guide mentioned field work
Okay.
and even used the phrase extreme temperatures, wind, and rain.
Wow.
It makes you think of those offshore oil rigs.
Right. You need resilience.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just a desk job. It's a career where you have to be comfortable
Totally.
in potentially demanding environments.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even be alone out there.
No, you wouldn't.
Because they mention working with government regulators and industry leaders.
That's a high stakes network.
It is a high stakes network.
For sure.
Big time.
Which is why they emphasize communication and teamwork
Yeah.
alongside those technical chops.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The decisions made in this field have a ripple effect.
So let's get practical.
All right.
They do mention that there is high earning potential, which is always good.
Of course, who doesn't like that?
Right, exactly. But they balance it by being upfront about long working hours.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's a trade-off you have to consider.
100%. It's about finding the right fit for you.
Yeah, it's about you.
Right.
What do you want?
Exactly.
So let's talk about getting your foot in the door.
Okay, let's do it.
RoleCatcher breaks down the typical degrees:
Okay.
chemical engineering,
Uh-huh.
petroleum engineering,
Yep.
even mechanical or civil.
Wow. Okay.
No big surprises there.
No. But the interesting part is how much they emphasize continuous learning.
Oh, that's interesting.
A degree gets you started,
Right.
but to really thrive in this field,
Okay.
you've got to be hungry to stay updated.
Okay.
They even mention specific certifications like the Certified Petroleum Engineer to show how you can level up.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
this isn't a learn it once and you're done kind
Uh,
of career.
Not at all.
You've got to be ready to evolve as the industry changes.
Exactly. And that constant learning, that curiosity is what keeps things exciting. It's not
Exactly.
just what you know now.
Right.
It's about your capacity to grow.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it seems like that growth is reflected in how they describe the career ladder.
Yeah.
You start at entry level and work your way up to senior gas production engineer.
Yeah.
But the responsibilities change so much along the way.
So much.
Yeah.
It's almost like the higher you climb, the more you're shifting
Interesting.
from individual projects
Okay.
to leading teams.
Wow.
At that senior level,
Yeah.
you're shaping the company's long-term strategy,
Right.
not just executing someone else's plan.
Totally. They even use the phrase leading multidisciplinary teams.
I saw that.
So if you like big picture thinking and working with people from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
this career path definitely offers that.
We've got to be real about the competition, though,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
especially for those entry-level roles. The guide kind of hints at that, and this is where those less obvious skills come in.
And it's everyone has the degree.
They do.
So what makes you stand out?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're looking for things like judgment and decision-making,
Interesting.
systems analysis, even social perceptiveness.
Oh, wow.
Those are the things that your resume in your interviews
Yeah.
need to showcase.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And this is where I think RoleCatcher, being in the business of helping people get hired, is really interesting
Huge.
because they have their finger on the pulse of what employers actually want.
They
After
do.
you, right?
100%. And features like their RoleCatcher.capture tool
Oh, yeah.
seemed designed to help you reverse engineer that hiring process.
Yeah.
Figure out what skills are most in demand right now.
Oh, that's smart.
It is.
I like it.
Right.
And speaking of smart, they don't just give you generic advice.
No, they don't.
They give you a list of external resources
But do
to keep your deep dive going even further.
I love that.
Some of these are amazing.
Tell me.
The International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry.
Wow.
Even the name sounds intense.
Right.
Imagine the kind of in-depth knowledge they have.
Yeah.
And then there's this Society of Petroleum Evaluation Engineers
Uh-huh.
and the American Petroleum Institute.
I mean,
These are networking gold mines.
they are.
This is about tapping into the collective knowledge
Yes,
of the field.
absolutely. And networking shouldn't be underestimated
No, it shouldn't
because talking to people who are experienced professionals
be. Right.
can give you insights that you won't find in any textbook.
Totally.
Plus, you never know where a connection might lead,
That's true.
you know?
Networking is everything.
It is.
So it's more than just prepping for an interview.
Way more.
It's about becoming part of this industry's ecosystem.
100%.
Okay, so we talked about the how of getting into this field.
Yes.
Now let's get into the really fascinating stuff.
Let's do it.
The why behind it all.
I'm excited. You know, it's funny you should say that because I was thinking back to when we were talking about RoleCatcher and how much they stressed like optimizing gas production.
Right.
And it struck me that it's not just about like getting as much gas out of the ground as fast as possible.
It's got to be more nuanced than that.
Way more. It's like finding that balance, you
Yeah.
know, between meeting like the energy demands that we have right now
Right.
and making sure that we're not like depleting those resources for future generations.
Okay.
Like they're thinking about the long game here,
Yeah.
not just like short-term games.
Yeah, it's like running a marathon, not a sprint.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Got to pace yourself
You got a crew.
if you want to cross the finish line.
Exactly.
And just like a marathoner needs to understand their own body,
Uh-huh.
a gas production engineer needs to have a deep understanding of the earth.
Right.
The guide even mentions reservoir mechanics,
Okay.
which sounds super complex,
It does.
but it's basically figuring out how gas behaves underground
Yeah.
so we can extract it efficiently.
So all those like geology and chemistry courses they mentioned suddenly make a lot more sense.
Right.
It's like you need to be a scientist
You do.
to be a good engineer in this field.
You have to. And that's what I love about this field. You know,
Yep.
you're not just plugging numbers into equations.
Right.
You're using science
Mm.
to solve real-world problems.
Mm.
And that requires constant learning,
Yes.
adapting. It's fascinating.
But it's not just about getting the gas out, though, right?
Right.
Like the guide also mentions minimizing environmental impact
Huge.
and ensuring safety.
Yes,
Like those are pretty big deals.
they are. And it brings us to like the heart of what makes this career so challenging,
Okay.
but also so rewarding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not just dealing with technical hurdles.
Right.
You're dealing with human and environmental factors, too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Well, speaking of responsibility, remember how they mentioned like extreme weather events
Oh, yeah.
and natural disasters?
Yeah.
That's got to add a whole other layer of like complexity to this job.
Imagine a hurricane bearing down on an offshore platform.
Oh my gosh.
You can't just flip through a textbook for that.
Right.
It requires quick thinking adaptability, a deep understanding of how to mitigate risk in unpredictable situations.
That's intense.
It is.
You'd have to be like incredibly calm under pressure.
Yes, you would. And it highlights the importance of another skill they emphasized,
Which is,
leadership.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Remember how we were saying that the senior level roles involve leading multidisciplinary teams?
Right. You're not just managing other engineer.
No, you're not.
It's geologists, environmental scientists, probably even financial analysts.
It's a real team effort.
Yeah, big time.
You're like the conductor of this orchestra,
I like that.
right?
Yeah.
Making sure everyone is in sync
Right.
and working towards that same goal.
Okay.
That requires strong communication. The ability to build consensus and the confidence to make those tough calls when you need to.
So it makes you realize this isn't just a job for numbers people.
Oh,
You need to be a people person too.
Right. And those judgment and decision-making skills they listed,
Yes.
those are crucial.
Totally.
Because as a gas production engineer, you are constantly weighing risks and benefits.
Right.
It's like a high-stakes game of chess
Wow.
where every move has consequences.
It's like you're not even just playing against your competition, you're playing against nature itself.
Exactly.
And the stakes are so high.
They are so high, and it leads us to like this critical aspect
Okay.
that often gets overlooked in these discussions about gas production,
What's that?
ethics.
Oh, now we're getting into the really deep stuff.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. Gas production engineers,
Yeah,
they have a tremendous amount of power,
that's true.
right? The decisions they make impact the environment,
Yeah.
local communities,
Yeah.
even the global energy landscape.
It's a huge responsibility, not just to like your company, but to the planet.
100%. And that's why those external resources that RoleCatcher provided,
Yes.
those are so important.
They are.
Because Organizations like the Society of Petroleum Engineers
Mm-hmm.
and the American Institute of Chemical Engineers,
Okay.
they provide ethical frameworks and best practices for the industry.
So they're not just there to help you advance your own career.
No.
They're there to help you navigate the ethical complexities of this entire field.
It's about making sure that this is done responsibly,
Right.
that the gas is extracted and utilized with a long-term perspective.
It's not just what you extract, it's how and why you do it.
Exactly.
There's a real sense of stewardship involved, I think.
There is.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us to like a fascinating question
Okay.
that I was hoping you would consider
I'm ready.
as you continue your deep dive.
Lay it on me.
We've talked a lot about like the present state of gas production,
Right.
but what about the future? How do you see this field evolving as renewable energy sources become more and more prominent?
That's a really good question. Like, is gas a bridge to a cleaner future?
Right.
Or is it destined to be phased out?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah,
And there's no easy answer,
I'm sure.
but it's something I think every aspiring gas production engineer should be thinking about.
For sure. It's like we said, you're not just picking a career, you're picking a side in the future of energy.
It is, and it's exciting.
It's a lot to process.
It is, but it's a really exciting time to be in this field, even with all of the unknowns.
Okay.
But that's where like that focus on continuous learning that we talked about earlier, that's what makes it so interesting.
It's really important because even if like the whole industry changes,
Right.
you've still got this amazing foundation to build on.
The skills you develop as a gas production engineer, things like systems thinking, data analysis, problem solving,
Yeah.
those are transferable. There's so many different areas, even beyond energy.
So it's not even just about what's happening in energy right now. It's about like being ready for what's next.
Being prepared for whatever comes next. And that's why for someone who's really drawn to solving complex challenges,
Yeah.
a career in gas production engineering,
Okay.
it's very compelling.
Yeah, it's not a passive field, that's for sure.
No,
You're not just watching the energy transition happen, you're in it.
you're in the thick of it. And that can be daunting,
Yeah.
but it's also a tremendous opportunity
Right.
to make a real impact.
I think that's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
It's not just about like extracting gas.
No, it's not.
It's about extracting the full potential of your own skills and knowledge.
Well said. And remember, this is just the start of your deep dive.
That's right.
Keep exploring those resources.
Yes.
Connect with people in the field.
Totally.
And, most importantly,
What's that?
never stop asking those tough questions.
Don't ever stop being
Yeah.
curious. It's like you said, it's not a learn it once and you're done
It's
kind
not.
of field.
You got to stay curious.
And with curiosity as your guide, you're bound to uncover some really fascinating insights.
For sure.
Well, I am way more intrigued by gas production engineering than I was when we started.
I'm glad.
I think our listener is too.
Me too.
So thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep exploring.